All right, we got ourselves a massive update here from the Bannerlord team at Tailworlds. Now, when I say update, it's pretty much saying, hey, here's more or less a roadmap of what we're going to be working on all the way from now until it sounds like the release of the game. There's very few features that they talk about in this future plans section that they say, hey, this is something that's going to be coming after the release of the game. But in my typical fashion, let me give you a bullet point list pretty much of what this entire post from Tailworlds covers, because it covers a crap ton. So here are some of the new things that they're going to be adding to Bannerlord across the next months as we come up to their new release date, which is going to be Q2 of 2022. And I think we all saw that coming. We knew it wouldn't be Q4 2021. And the big reason behind that is because the team has now fully come back into the office, all receiving their second dose of the vaccine. So their office work has resumed as normal. So Q2 2022 is when we're going to be seeing the full launch of Bannerlord, but here are some of the stuff that we'll also be talking about here today, just to give you again that down and dirty, the information up front as always. The cutscenes that are going to be added to the game, very similar to how when you execute someone, you kind of see a little cutscene. You'll be seeing some new cutscenes for other events in the game. Sally out missions for when you're besieged and you're the defender, you can actually do a sally out. And now if you do a sally, if you do a sally, it sounds like a weird drug. If you do a sally out mission, it basically just creates like a, hey, here's just an open battle map. Well, they want to actually have context now, and it'll actually create something that is true to what a sally out would be, rather than just a big open field battle. Party templates are going to be added into the game. Pre-battle setup, so something very akin to Total War, where you set up before the actual battle commences. This used to be gated behind an actual perk, but now it's going to just be added into the game by default. You can set your army up before the battle starts. New scenes will be added to the game, and what that means is updates for castles and for towns. And why those are important is because those new scenes add new nav meshes, and those nav meshes, as we've seen from the siege testing video that we did, shows that all of the units, when it comes to a siege, will use ladders and siege towers properly. A Claimant quest will be added to the game. So if you want to claim the Calradian Empire, you can do so through this new Claimant quest. We don't know much about it. It's kind of cryptic in its little description, but that's going to be added. New vocalizations, so they'll be adding actual voice lines into the game. New music. Also, more siege improvements. So with the last patch 1.6.1, they did a huge pass on the siege ladders. In the next patch, they were saying that the siege towers are what they're going to be focused on. When we did our siege for the siege testing stream, one of the developers actually popped in and said, hey, this patch was only the ladders. Next patch is going to be the towers. So I'm really excited for that. Also, if you play multiplayer, a ton of expansion coming in there. Ranked matchmaking, progression system with skins, voice chat, cheers and shout mechanic is going to be added in if you don't want to use voice chat. MVP awards for the people who have performed the best in each and every map. CTF improvements for capture the flag, action, and more new maps, as well as some other stuff being added in. In addition to that, custom servers will also be brought into Bannerlord, but that is one of the only things in this whole entire post that they said is going to be probably post-launch. It's not as huge of a focus in the pre-launch as it is in post. Also, some other things is an update to the Ambient Sound System. So it's going to remove 70% of the memory cost so that even low-end machines can get a better, more ambient inclusion when it comes to sound. And it's why the sound channels portion was having such a profound effect on performance in the early portions of the game's release. Also, modding support for Steam Workshop is coming prior to launch in 2022. So that's the down and dirty. That is the quick information about the future plans. There you go, 4 minutes of your life. If that's all you wanted to know, go ahead and shut the video down. But before you do, please, as always, don't forget to comment, like, and/or subscribe. I cannot tell you how each and every one of those things helps out in some varying way. But let's jump in now here to get us some more information and go into all of the actual not patch notes, but all the plans here for Bannerlord from Tailworlds. So now that I've shut down Steam so we can't see the Steam notifications, let's go on down. So basically the way this starts out is going over what has been improved in the game thus far, kind of giving us a general kind of outline saying, hey, here's some stuff that we've improved. So over the past few months, dozens of new scenes, items, animations, icons, artwork, and sound have been added to the game, greatly expanding the options and experiences available to you while journeying through Calradian. So we get new stuff like crafting orders, keep battles, which is right here, which happen at the end of a siege. Obviously, if you as the defender lose, you then jump into a keep battle where you will fight waves of the attacker coming in to take the keep from you. Now the new party and kingdom war stances, which is quite nice, so that you can actually determine how your parties act on the battle or on the campaign map that you are not controlling, right? You can make them more passive, more defensive, so on and so forth. A new duel system has been added to multiplayer as well. We get more difficulty options like Iron Man, the ability to abdicate thrones, encyclopedia and party screen updates, and then settlement production icons added onto the campaign map. So that's some stuff that's been happened that has happened in the past couple patches. I think that's like last 3 patches more or less. But again, as people always ask, hey, should I join the game right now? If you have not played the game, you will have hundreds of hours of content to consume. If you've been playing the game since it came out, you won't find anything brand new here. So let's jump into some stuff that is brand new. Now, this first part is just kind of going over, hey, we're returning to the studio and we won't be at Gamescom, but jumping into single player, we're going to get some information about what is coming with this set of patches that are going to be in the future. Please be aware that this is not an exhaustive list, and you should expect a few additional surprises in addition to the planned features outlined below. So I'm sure we'll find out new stuff that will come down the pipe as we get closer to each one of these things coming out. So the first big thing is the battle terrain system. And this is something that we've had talked about since development update number 7. And I believe the last one we saw was number 9. So this is something that we know has been coming for a long time. And basically it is the ability that when you jump into a battle, you will have a contextual map that matches where you are on the campaign map. So for example, this is where it is on the campaign map. When you actually jump into the battlefield, it'll look very similar, right? You've got the lake right here. You've got these trees that would be right here. And you've got that sloping mountain on the right side. See? So a very cool system, but they say, however, due to the sheer scale of this feature and the amount of work required, you can expect to see updates to this through the addition of new scenes long after it is made available to you. And it was speaking with the developers, they said that this is coming. It's just not something that it was something that took a lot longer than they initially thought. So hopefully we'll see this in the next handful of patches, 1.6.2 or 1.6.3, maybe 4 at the latest, hopefully. But it is something that is very touted about and really, really desired for the game. So I really can't wait for it to actually jump into a battle at a bridge and it result in an actual bridge battle. So really stoked on the new battle terrain system. Granting of peerage to companions. And this is another thing that a lot of people have requested for a long time. And it's basically talking about, hey, you get companions as you go through your campaign and you bolster your party, but as your campaign progresses and the bonds between you and your followers develop, we feel that it's only appropriate that you should be able to reward them for their loyalty and service by elevating them to the ranks of nobility, if you so choose. So something that people have wanted is that ability to give these settlements away and make basically another minor clan within your kingdom. Because remember, you start off as a minor clan and you join into a kingdom however you wish, and then you become, you either create your own kingdom or you join into one, and then you become maybe the ruler of it, whatever it is. This finally gets the advantage, or I'm sorry, the option to give peerage to our companions, to make them nobles, which is awesome. Next up here is Order of Battle, which is huge. And you can see here's a little taster of what it's going to look like. You've got your deployment line. Give preferences to troops with shields. So that's really cool, right? You can say, hey, I want you to do this. I want you to jump into this stance, which looks like it might be the pike stance. I'm not positive there. Well, looking at that, I don't really know what that stance is. You can throw your weapon, whatever it is. So you have a ton of options here in just the actual ability to deploy your units in a specific way. Or you can just press auto deploy and just ready up if you don't want to get that granular, which I like, right? You can just kind of, all right, cool, let's go. So I like that you can do this on the fly. Oh, I forgot to put 50% of these units into group 6. Well, now I can do that through here. What I would really like to see though is a granular ability, because we all know that this regiment number 2 of horse archers, or no, maybe this is just archers. This is just archers. Sorry, horse archers is right there. Archers it's going to have varying tiers and varying units in Group 2. So I would really like the ability to, hey, I want to move all these units to Group 6 rather than 50%, whatever that number means, into Group 6. And is that 50% based off of the top to bottom of my party list? Like, there's some things that are of course lacking here, but I still think this is an amazing start to getting that pre-battle setup, which I love. Banner bearers are coming, something I didn't mention in the beginning Spark notes there. Got a little surprise here for you. But we will be getting the ability to have banners worn, beared onto the battlefield for us. So not only will this make battles more colorful and visually diverse, but there will also be gameplay effects for the soldiers marching under each banner. So hopefully that will bolster their leadership so we won't see units fleeing as much. And morale is something that we haven't really been able to dive deep in because morale seems to have been a system that is not fully implemented or maybe shut off right now in current early access. And banners have always been part of the game. That's why there's been a mod that allows you to bring banners into it. But the developer said in the early portions of early access, hey, banners aren't in a place right now with the physics that we're 100% cool with, so we're going to hold off on that. So we do know that banner bearers are indeed coming, and they actually will have an effect on the battlefield outside of just being pure aesthetic. Party templates are going to come out here too, so another means to increase the variety of encounters and make AI party leaders feel more distinct are party templates. Currently, party leaders pursue largely the same effective template through their recruitment and upgrading troops. We will explore and implement a greater number of templates that may be assigned to AI party leaders based on their cultural and character traits. So you can maybe say, hey, I want this party to follow this template of recruitment, right? And upgrade. I want you to have more horse archers than anything else. So that way, when I make an army and you come into my army, I know I'm going to have, let's just say 120 horse archers coming in, and I don't have to then put horse archers in my army. That's why party templates are so cool right there. You can make your personal party part of a larger whole because you're making party templates with your AI and your companions built up to make a larger army. So maybe your cap is 120 and so is theirs. So I'm going to do 120 infantry. I got one guy and he's going to do 120 archers. I got another guy and he's going to do 120 cavalry. This is a really cool thing to come because that means that our armies will be a little bit more custom built to the way that we want them. And that is very cool. Some new cutscenes are going to be added in as well. So as you kind of have things like a death or a childbirth, you'll start to get these new cutscenes that come in. As such, we intend to give them more life and improve overall immersion by introducing several cutscene notifications, similar to the existing execution animation. So you've lost a member of your family, and here you go. They didn't put any coins over his eye. How the hell is he going to go over the river Styx now? This is fucking insensitive. But Sally Out missions too, that'll also be coming, which is quite nice. Like I was saying before, currently the game will initiate a standard field battle for these encounters, which can be a little immersion breaking and isn't truly befitting of the event. In the future, we want the Sally Out action to have its own dedicated mission that plays out on the relevant siege scene, making these unique events a bit more special. Fourth Eolingas. So we even get a cool little Lord of the Rings reference there, but very, very awesome and stoked to see this happening and not just end up as a weird kind of like shoehorned field battle. And I like that these things are being talked about. It's something that a lot of people have said, like, great, what's the roadmap? What do you guys actually intend to do prior to release? And they said, you know, there are other things, obviously, that's not covered in this. Like, I think a lot of people want a lot of variety when it comes to different chest, armor, and shoulder pieces with the varying factions, like when you look at Asarai and so on and so forth. But I think this entire article is a very good step in the right direction to giving us an idea of what to expect in the remainder of early access leading up to Q2 2022. Now with scenes, of course, here, we're just going to be getting new. Look at this Empire. Look at that Colosseum. Fuck, I didn't even see that picture before this. But new scenes, again, like I've said, are super important because that's better nav meshes. Better nav meshes make for better sieges. So a bunch of new scenes have already been added to the game, especially for Stygia. And I hate to keep bringing this up, but we did our siege testing and we found that the Stygian scenes, all being brand new, result in much better, much more exciting sieges where everyone uses the ladders properly. People don't get stuck in weird little nooks and just kind of like twitch around everywhere. So these updated scenes are very, very huge. And of course, it's going to break the monotony of seeing the same 5 towns everywhere you go. So very nice there. The Claimant quest, again, very cryptic. We don't know much about it. It should come as no surprise that such times of change provide opportunities to actors that would otherwise have stayed in the shadows. They may just need the right hero to help them press their claim. So it'll be very interesting to see how the Claimant quest system works. It sounds like this will actually have an effect on the overall storyline with EVGA and the throne of Calradian and the splintered Empire factions. So it'll be very interesting to see what comes out of this. Some new vocalizations, like I was saying too. So that would include some new voice lines coming in. And we've kind of been primed for this in one of the patch or two ago, kind of saying like, hey, voice line priming, whatever the hell. But portions of the dialogue in Bannerlord will be voiced in English. Other stuff that's going to be coming, this extends to the polishing of any newly introduced content, such as the war and peace reasons and balancing existing mechanics like birth and death rates, skill experience gains, and armor effectiveness, which is a big thing. People have really been talking about armor effectiveness for a long time. It also covers additions of smaller mechanics like AI death, respec perks, and the ability to retire the active main character, which is quite cool. But also this includes stuff like expansion like music, sound, animation, models, including crafting pieces, artwork, and so on and so forth. So plenty of other things coming. Now, as we move into multiplayer here, I'm going to kind of blaze through this because there's not a whole ton of information, but ranked matchmaking will soon come to the game. A progression system with skins. So as you can see over here, you get different skins to actually put onto your units. So they have a little bit more of a custom feel. You can show off stuff a little bit more, saying, hey, I've got an X amount of MVP badges. I now get access to this skin, so on and so forth. Very similar to how you have a progression system in a game like Mordhau or Medieval that give you a sense of, hey, I've been playing this for so long, people now physically see that on my character. You now physically see this on the units that you get access to, which is quite cool. Use this kind of currency system to buy these additional skins is what it looks like as well. Voice chat is going to be added to the game. They're saying a rudimentary version of voice chat was already introduced to skirmish mode quite recently. However, we'd be the first ones to admit that it is a little lacking. So we will see hopefully an overhaul to this. I personally have never found voice chatting in game with my own team to be extremely reliant on most games. Maybe Call of Duty, because it's kind of like built around that premise, but I always just jump into a Discord server. But it's nice to see they're trying to put a bit more effort into this that is a little bit more succinct for people that obviously they're queuing up with randos and they're blueberries and they're going to be dealing with all sorts of random crap. So that voice chat should work out a little bit better. A cheer and shout system here, as you can see, and this was actually mistakenly added into version 1.5.10 or 1.6.0. I can't remember. It was actually brought into single player, and I noticed it in one of the streams. They're like, that won't be there after this hotfix. So it was swiped away. But you can see here, it's basically like pre-queued up responses that your character can use. So if you don't want to use voice chat, you can say, okay, someone says, hey, go over here. Okay, cool, thanks, or affirmative, or I don't want to do that, negative. So you'll have pre-canned responses that you can give in the event you don't want to use voice chat. An MVP system, which is where the best performing player is given an MVP award, will be displayed that they can actually kind of like show off, giving you a little extra incentive to push yourself to try and outperform your teammates. A new end of match screen to get an overhaul there, flag capture improvements, as well as a lot of other overhauls here. Overhaul to the score calculation system to better account for damage dealt and objectives achieved. A rework of the entire scoreboard. The addition of multiple projectile mangonels to siege, as well as ballista aiming and performance improvements. A new single life game mode. General gameplay improvements to each game mode. New badges to track your accomplishments. Updates and changes to perks. And a host of new maps. Always an important thing when it comes to multiplayer. So, and again, right here, finally down the line, and possibly after, it's got to be green. After the full release of the game, we intend to share custom server files to allow you to host your own multiplayer game servers. That is huge. That has kept the longevity of the multiplayer portion of Warband going for a long time, and it's such an important part of the game. So it's nice to see that is coming. And then stuff for both, again, the Battle Ambient Sound System, which is going to basically improve the memory cost of having things like distant battle sounds. We're saying right here, we'll group and merge distant battle sounds to a single sound event, reducing sound-related calculations by up to 70%. Remember, when the game started out, everyone said, hey, if you're having performance issues, turn down your sound channels. That will make it so that it can't pour out as much of these little sound events. So that is going to be curbed back and perform better on lower performing machines, but it will also improve on better machines with these quad ambiances. Quad ambiances will provide a depth of directionality to your ambient beds without adversely impacting performance, meaning that you should be able to tell which way you are facing even with your eyes closed. So a lot of awesome goodies there. Some language support, modding support here where they said. We can also confirm that Steam Workshop is planned as a future update, meaning that you will be able to access and share mods with ease. Very stoked on that. So that is the down and dirty here, guys. That is everything that Tailworlds has told us. Again, obviously, their big new release date saying, well, we want to be upfront at this point by saying early access will continue on into next year, with our current estimate for the full release being Q2 2022. Again, that's an estimate. They're not saying a set concrete date. They're saying they're fairly confident, though, in this time around. As for platforms, we confirm that the game will be coming to consoles. However, we are unable to share any further details on this just yet. So the game is in forward motion. I think a lot of people, myself included, have been like, okay, well, I know they said Q4 2021. How realistic is that? And I even made a video about it. And it's nice to see a good game plan here, or at least some form of roadmap. I know this roadmap isn't saying, hey, expect this in 2 patches, expect this in a patch, expect this in a month, anything like that, which typically a roadmap does have, right? It's got some loose form of dating. Not to be confused with a crappy app called Hinge. But well, the nice thing here is that this is going to give us at least an idea of stuff to expect. And of course, there's more coming under the hood as well. Like I've said before, I would like to see a little bit more work done to weapon variety and armor variety, of course, across the other cultures, and a little bit more endgame content. And I think that might be what they're kind of teasing with the Claimant portion. And I think that the important thing to remember with Bannerlord is it is a sandbox game. So when they do stuff like peerage or abdicating throne, being able to retire the main character, birth and death rates, that is contributing to the end game, because that is the end game, right? Is growing your kingdom, growing your family, growing your nobility, the noble house of your companions. So I think them making these small little additions and tweaks, which don't seem like someone saying like in an MMO, hey, we've added a new end game raid, where you're like, oh, cool, it's like fucking like 10 more hours of content. Like, no. Doing this makes that end game stronger. So I'm really excited to see what's coming in the next, we have like 8 more months, 10 more months of early access, more or less. I'm really excited to see what that all includes, what kind of additions will be coming to the game, and how that will shape and change the end game, like I said, and how those claimant quests and everything like that will make them very dynamic end result. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. If you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. But let me know what your thoughts are. Are you excited about a lot of these changes? Or do you think that they missed the beat on some of these improvements coming to the game? Like, hey, yeah, great, you talked about those things, but you're really missing this subject that everyone's been talking about that you didn't talk about. Where's this? Like, go ahead and let it be known. Like I've always said, the developers read the forums, Reddits, YouTube, streamers, everything. Just try to be respectful in your response. Give critical feedback. Say, hey, really like this, don't like this, and here's why, or here's the thing I would do to improve it or make it better. Those kind of comments and those kind of statements are only going to help. But when you kind of give like a divisive comment, like, don't like it, it's kind of shit, nah, it's gonna be in early access forever, it doesn't help anyone. Like, you can make this game the game that you want by sharing as much feedback as possible. They even say, hey, over on the forums, they have a whole link to all the things that a lot of people have brought up. So make sure you check that link out. I'm going to have the link to this entire article in the description. So go ahead and check that out as well. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.